Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. My name is Jonathan Bodnar. This is my trusty host, Joel Scrivener, and welcome to Hustle Live, the lab, where we break down concepts in business, life, and personal excellence.
Absolutely.
So, how are you today, Joel?
Man, I'm fantastic.
Good.
Jonathan, thank you for asking. And hope all of you online with us live are great, or watching later. Hope you enjoy the lab, where we break down concepts and really try to help you learn how to become the very best version of yourself. Hope that you are sharing this, spreading the word, sharing the love. If this makes a difference in your life, spread the word, man. Bring exposure to this. We just want to help people. That's what we're all about. You'll hear Jonathan say a gajillion times, impact. That's his entire life focus, is how can we impact the most people. I have the exact same passion and connection there too. So we're here for you guys. Would love your comments and your feedback. And we got some great stuff for you today, right?
Yeah. Before we go ahead and get started, go ahead and click subscribe. We have a personal goal today to hit 150 subscribers. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Like Joel mentioned, share the video. Let us know that you're here in the comments. We're going to have a little bit of an interactive segment of sorts here in a little while. And so today we're talking about purpose, which purpose and personal direction, which I introed on yesterday's show when we were working on the business and building the business to 10,000 a month. We kind of barely touched on the importance and just the power of having personal direction. You know, we talk about in Hustle, we're freeing people from their 9-to-5s and all this stuff. But then, you know, the big question is, well, what then? You know, like, okay, great. I don't have to work anymore. I have a little extra money in my pocket. What do I do after I've found financial freedom? And so many people that get rich or make it never feel like they made it. The minute, when I sold my first company, personally, I sat there and I'm like, what now? Like, what do I do? You know, I'm like, I don't, and when you don't have a personal direction and you don't have a purpose, it's hard to like see what else to do. So you just go and you blow it and you party and you have fun. You're stupid because you don't actually have a direction or a direction for those finances and for your purpose and for that newfound freedom.
Well, and most people don't understand this, but wealthy people commit suicide at the exact same rate as poor people. You know, we all think, well, if I just had more money, if I just had more of this, if I just had more success. Last time we talked about how the goal post moved.
It keeps moving forward. It's like, oh, I'll be happy at 100,000. Oh, now I need 200,000.
Well, did you know there was a study in Money Magazine, and they asked people from every economic strata how much, if they were rich or not. Every economic strata. So people making $25,000 a year, are you rich? Oh no, absolutely not. Well, how much money would you need to feel rich? Well, if I made 50,000, then I'd feel rich.
It's just double.
They asked the 50,000 people, are you rich? Oh God, no. Well, how much would you need to feel rich? Well, if I made 100,000, then I'd be rich. $100,000 people, it was 200. $500,000 people, it was $1 million. $1 million people, it was 2 million. $5 million people, are you rich? Oh, hell no, I'm not rich. You know, I'm barely making it. I got so much debt. I got so much whatever, so much pressure. Well, where would you be really rich, man? If I made 10 million, then I'd be really. Every single one, without any variation, every group said if they had double what they have right now, then they'd be rich. But none of the people that had double felt rich. You know, people that were worth $50 million. No, I'm not rich. I mean, we're barely safe where we are right now. I mean, one or two bad decisions, we could lose everything. But if we had 100 million, I mean, every single one. So the concept is, it doesn't matter how much you have. It matters what you do with it. You're right. And don't get me wrong. Again. I think I also read another study that all of your basic physiological needs, your base physiological needs in America are met at $75,000 a year. Okay. Every need, every physiological need, food, clothing, shelter, basic necessities, transportation, all that. $75,000 a year meets that. Below $75,000, there's a significant lack of feeling safe, secure, happy, whatever. Above 75,000, it actually diminishes. There's no measurable, tangible measurement of increased happiness or satisfaction above 75,000.
That's incredible.
Isn't it wild?
It's incredible because we all walk around thinking, like you said, like, oh, $1 million, I'm gonna be so happy, I'm gonna do anything, you know, and it's very easy to feel that way. It's very easy to think that way, but the reality is no matter how much money you have, you still don't have direction or passion or purpose. And so that's what we want to dig through today is why that's important and how to discover that purpose and direction within yourself. And so we have a cool activity that we're going to do together. But first, let's really dig into if you were to define purpose, if you were to define what a personal direction, what is that? What is purpose? And is there a difference between purpose and passion? Because I defined it a little bit yesterday briefly. We kind of raced through everything, but I'm very curious what you think the definition of purpose before we even begin dissecting how to find it. What is it?
Yeah, that's really good. And there's probably last time we tried to define success, and that was a moving target. I think purpose is relative.
Okay.
I would say purpose is relative to the individual. Okay. So one person's purpose is different than another person's purpose. Right. You will find people that are very much connected. You and I, we test the same on so many different, different personality and strengths and skills type tests. So we have a lot of similarities, right? But at the same time, I
could kick your ass, you could kick my ass, you know.
Theoretically, if you had a break in your hand, maybe. And I wouldn't look if I was asleep. And
hey, you said we're similar.
We are similar.
I took it.
No, but as far as purpose, we both share, and potentially from different types of backgrounds. We grew up differently. We had different types of parents. We had different types of siblings. Yeah. We grew up in different states, in different, generations essentially. But we both want to help people. There's something about you and I that drives us. We want to help people. Yeah. And so what I want to do today is I kind of want to dive into the origin of that a little bit and where that comes from. Yeah. Because so much of your purpose it comes out of your life experience. Yes. It comes out of what you've endured, what you've been through, what you've suffered through, lots of different things like that, right? So, and I think maybe what we'll do, Jonathan, is we can do.
Well, before we dig into that, I want to talk about why is it important that somebody finds their purpose? Okay, like why does it matter that anybody that's listening to this call, anybody that's, listening later or viewing it later, why is this even important to pay attention to? Yeah.
I think number one, there's something about the makeup of human beings. We are different than the animal class. Where human beings are different than the animal classes, right? Yeah. Animal classes exist to procreate. They exist to multiply. There's the natural order in the food chain, all that type of thing. We as human beings are different. There are different people. Oh, we're just another animal. We're all animal, whatever. Not really, because we have an extremely unique drive inside of us for purpose, for meaning of life, right?
Meaning,
the meaning of life. What is the meaning of my life? Yeah. I like to say it like this: what's the message of your life? Ooh. If everyone has a story, okay? Yeah. Everyone has a story. What's the message inside of your story? Yeah.
And we talked about the science of success last time, and it was, what your all the cells in your body and your mind. What is it that you're projecting? And so it's almost. It's like that's the message. Yeah. What are you projecting? And when you really find your purpose, you walk into a room and your mind already knows what to project in a sense. Yeah. And so I think it's important on a number of levels, both in business and because you could be just doing the wrong thing. Yep. And it's like, well, I make a lot of money, but I'm miserable, right? Which means you're in the wrong field doing the wrong thing. Yeah. And personally, I have never in my entire life understood doing anything that you don't love.
Absolutely.
And it just it blows my mind that people even accept money to do things. You come to me and you say, hey, I'll pay you $2 million to do this thing. It's going to take you 2 years. You're going to hate it, but do it. And I would say, hell no, because I could spend that same time making maybe less, but I'm happy and I love doing that. And so there's an element of fulfillment that you get when you know your purpose.
Yep.
And there's an even bigger element of direction.
Yep.
Because it's kind of that whole concept of the true north. You know, it's like when explorers when explorers don't go on their true north, even the tiniest bit off of true north, and they're miles and miles and miles away from their destination. And it's over time we begin compromising as people, and because we say, oh, it's okay, this job pays me more, or so-and-so will pay me more, or, you know, I have to provide for my family. And you do. It's very, very true. But there are ways that you can slowly point that needle back to true north, and you can readjust your life and readjust your trajectory in your life to a place of satisfaction, fulfillment, and purpose and direction. And I think that has such a deep-rooted importance in us, because we don't, you know, I always think end in mind, right? What does the end look like?
Right.
If I'm laying on my deathbed and thinking back, you know, sure, that's macabre, who cares? Like I'm laying in my deathbed, I'm laying there, what am I going to care most about? I'm going to care how much time I spent with people, and the people I am impacting.
Right.
I'm going to look back and say, who did I help in this world? That's all that matters to me, right? And I would venture to say that if you're watching this, you're probably in that same boat. Those are the things that are gonna matter to you, not how much I made for them from that job, how much, you know, oh, so-and-so screwed me over, you know, in my life. I'm not even gonna give a second thought to the people that hurt me.
Right.
You know, so there's so much power in just knowing the direction that you're going, because as you go in that direction, you impact the people that you were created to impact naturally.
That's good.
You know?
That's good. So like you, I always wanted to do what I loved for a living. I changed my major in college. I went to college for 3 years. I changed my major every semester.
What was your first major?
Business.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang, I didn't know that.
But then I got into all the accounting. So I was a professional martial artist, right?
You got into accounting?
Well, you have to take accounting. You have to take accounting. You have to take economics, macro, micro, all that different stuff. You know, finite math, all kinds of different things. So I got into some of those classes, and I was, dude, the semesters that I was majoring in business, I was getting 3.85, you know, 3.75. I was getting great grades, but I was sleeping through my classes. I was so bored. And then, you know, and I was literally already in my passion. I already had a purpose. I was only going to college for obligation and as kind of a rite of passage, because it was expected to do. But it was in my third year of school that my financiers came in and my business got funded. And I never looked back, right? It was just one of those things. This is what I realized that I was already running my business, and now I had backing and I had partners and I had whatever to go and do the thing. So anyway, but I had constant change, because it wasn't connected to passion or purpose. It was out of obligation. But the only thing I cared about was that I did something that I loved. I never cared about how much money I made.
That's such a great indicator of knowing that you're not in your purpose and passion, is the consistent shifting. You know, it's, oh, I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. And I said yesterday, I said, when you find your purpose and direction, it creates consistency. Right? So you consistently chase after, and it can look different. But there's a common thread in everything that you do. Purpose can be the same, but have different applications. You know, over time. And so
I found myself in multiple different careers throughout my life, in multiple different fields. You know, from being in the professional martial arts field to then being in the nonprofit, self-help, you know, even faith-based community, and then into the corporate, massive, you know, huge corporate America type fields. Every single one of those fields completely different, total opposites in many ways. But I was doing the same thing. I was doing the same thing, which we'll get to as we dig in a little deeper. But 100% right on the true north thing. Knowing, because even if you're supposed to go west, the only way you know where west is if you know where north is. You have to have north to know west. You have to have north to know east. You know, so it's your guiding principles. And what happens a lot of times is what's called vision drift. Okay, vision drift is when here's my vision. So a lot of people they flounder because they've never defined an actual vision for their life. And vision, just go into that kind of mindset of 10 years from now. Where do I see myself 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Where do I see myself 20 years from now? Am I married? Do I have kids? Do I own properties? Do I whatever? Do I own a business? Do I whatever? Am I, do I live on the beach? Do I live in the mountains? I mean, having a real vision for your life. Yeah. My wife and I, we moved out to the country. We bought 12 acres. We built a modern farmhouse because 25 years, actually 26, we just had our 27th year anniversary. 26 years ago, we wrote down on a piece of paper, we made a significant sacrifice to the faith community that we were a part of. Yeah. And at that time in our life, we were broke as a joke, man. But we're like, we're going to give toward this community because we're believing that by us sowing seeds into this community, we'll be rewarded in the future in our own lives. Sure. And what we wrote down is that one day we want to own land. We want to have a house in the country. We want to be able to have animals. We want to have trees. We want to water on the property somehow. Yeah. So here we are. 24 years later, we're walking in that, right?
My wife did this. She got a blank canvas, and we wrote all of our goals when we first got married. And about 75 of them have already been accomplished. And we've only been married for 6 years. And so it's all about, if it's not written down, it doesn't happen. Yep. There's an ancient wisdom quote or proverb that is like, when you write down the things on your heart, like write them down, because that's what happens. Like that's what actually gets accomplished. And so, or as my amazing friend McDermott used to say, is note takers are world changers. Because it's one thing to think it constantly. It's a whole nother thing when you write it down and it becomes concrete. It becomes from a physical thought to a physical thing on paper that is a goal.
95% of people never write down goals. Ooh. Only 5% of people write their goals down.
Well, that's why there's only a top 1%. So,
and the two different ancient sayings that I think of are, where there's no vision, people throw off restraints. They got no reason. It's like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I do this? There's no vision that's guiding them. There's no North Star. There's no true
about America.
Right?
Great example.
Perfect.
But we can't talk about that.
We're not talking about that. So then on top of that, you have, the one you're talking about is, it talks about if you write the vision down and make it plain, then messengers will be able to run with it. So your vision, if you don't have a vision big enough that you need other people to run with it.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. That's one of the things why Jonathan and I hang together, is we both think so big that we know we can't do it on our own. We have to have a success team.
Well, sometimes you can't even show them everything you wrote down, because they would be like,
you're nuts.
like, you're crazy. You think what?
You drank Kool-Aid, didn't you?
Yeah, something like that.
So let's coming back to the whole what you love thing. We've got a graphic that I want to throw up on the screen. It's called the Hedgehog Concept. This is a very, very well-known graphic or in thought process inside of the business world. It's taught all over in the business world. But the Hedgehog Concept that you'll see is about finding your own personal place of excellence and success and satisfaction. Okay, so it starts off, there's 3 concentric circles. The one on the top says, what do you love? So everyone, the first and foremost thing, what we're talking about is, we always want to do something that we loved, right? So what do you love to do? Number 2, what are you best at? What are your gifts? So you got to figure out, what are your gifts? Every single one of us, we have different talents.
Yes.
Everybody has a different talent.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure out what are your gifts. Maybe you're incredibly artistic. Maybe you're a great writer. Maybe you're a great speaker. Maybe you're really good at sales. Maybe you're good. I mean, maybe you're great at talking people into things or talking yourself out of things. Yeah. Maybe you're an incredible arguer. You're the best arguer, the best debater. My God, that's what law schools exist for, right? So finding a niche that you have a natural gift toward, it coincides with something that you actually love or you're passionate about.
Good.
And then the third concentric circle is, what will people pay you for?
Because that's really all that matters.
Well, at the end of the day, we all got to live. We all got to eat. We all got to whatever. I mean, so you've got to find a way to create what's in the business speak, your economic engine. So we're in the NFT space. These NFTs are economic engines, right? So and that's the thing that makes hustle so different, is you're connecting this whole thing, instead of it just being a piece of art, a monkey, or a toilet, or whatever these little pieces of art, that are out there. Instead of that,
toilet. It's like, I've never seen a toilet NFT, but
I heard there was one that was
if there's There's some there's wieners like ape wieners or something like that. So there's wiener NFTs, but there's no.
That's strange.
I've never heard of a toilet NFT.
Well,
if there's a toilet NFT, post it on Discord right now.
See it. I can only imagine some of the things with.
Oh
ape.
yeah.
Please don't post ape wieners. I don't even know where to go with that, but let's leave that one alone at this point.
Oh Lord.
Goodness gracious. So, but point being is that if it doesn't generate revenue at some point in time. So when you look at these circles and you guys see the image, right?
Let's go ahead and pull those back up here.
Throw that image up there real quick. So you have the what do you love? If you only are connecting what do you love with what you're best at, okay, what you love and what you're best at, but you can't make any money with it, you can't generate revenue with it, that's called a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. I love this. Now I've turned my hobby into income producing opportunities multiple times. Yeah. Probably three times now. This is something I'm passionate about. This is what I'm really, really good at. And then I discover a way to create an economic
So eventually something that you love and you're good at, like golf, can eventually turn into something that you get paid for.
Yes.
You know, tournaments, things like that and everything. But that could apply to anything.
Sure.
You know?
Anything can become that. But if you don't have the economic engine, if people aren't willing to pay you for it, then you just have a hobby. If you have something that you love to do and people would pay you for it, but you're not any good at it, that's called a dream. Okay, you have a dream, but you're not good at it yet. So people would pay you if you were good at it, but you're not good at it. Yeah. You know, so then the final piece is the bottom two. If you're really, really good at something, and people will pay you for it, but you don't love it, now you just got a job. Now we're back to 9 to 5.
Now
we're back to 9 to 5. So that's what the sweet spot is if you can find that only in the center, only in that one center point, that's your little hedgehog, that you can find unbelievable satisfaction, right? That's great. So that's the place that each of us have to find. And so as your own assignment, your own personal assignment, you got to go through and answer these questions. Yeah. What do I really love, man? What makes me tick? What fires me up? Yeah. You know, so you talked about passion yesterday. One of the definitions of passion is suffering. Wow. So if you look it up in the dictionary, passion means suffering. So what are you willing to suffer for? Okay. I'm very passionate about my family. I'm willing to suffer for the cause of my family, right? I'm passionate about my faith. I'm passionate about my friends. I'm passionate about, for me and you, helping people, making an impact. I'm willing to suffer in order to help people and make an impact. So that's an indicator, right? You got to find those things that you're willing to suffer for, right?
I love it. Let's take a quick break. Cool. And when we come back, we're going to dig deeper into suffering to find your purpose. Awesome. And so I love it. Fantastic segue. All right, guys, we'll be back here in just a second. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you very much.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody. This is The Lab with Joel Scrivener, and my name is Jonathan Bodnar, and today we are talking about purpose and personal direction, and how to find that purpose and identify that, and how to differentiate between a job, a hobby, and a purpose. And so we're about to dive into pain and how pain can actually be an awesome indicator. But before we do that, let's recap on what we've went over.
Absolutely. So the three concentric circles we talked about: what do you love, what are you good at, and what will people pay you for? Answering those questions will really help you. It could even be, what do you feel like you could be really, really good at? Like, I have this potential. I know I'm not there yet, but I could be really, really good at this. And I know other people are getting paid for it out there. And if I get really good at it, maybe I could be one of those people too. So I would really encourage you guys to dig in, answer those three questions in your own personal time. That will give you some guidelines and help you find true north for you to be successful in your own personal life. The next piece, and when Jonathan asked me about this topic, he was talking about passion, he was talking about purpose, and I brought up the word he just used. I said, what about pain? Most people, they don't understand that there's a purpose in the painful times of life. There's a purpose in those places. And a lot of what we're looking for, guys, a lot of what we're seeking can be found if we're willing to dive in and kind of delve into some of the pain points in our life to understand those things.
Which is really interesting, because most people run from pain.
100%.
Most people are like, we talked about on the Science of Success a couple weeks ago, we talked about how the brain's job is to avoid pain at all costs. That is the number one motivation of your brain, is to avoid pain at all costs. That's why we like alcohol. That's why we like drugs. That's why we as people get into these things and get addicted to things, is because our brain wants to avoid pain at all costs. So even in our own lives, we don't want to even think back to these painful moments, you know? So why is it important to think back to those painful moments before we really dig into how they can guide you? Why is that important?
Well, first of all, what you're talking about, if you have unresolved pain, unresolved pain is cancer in your body. Unresolved pain. If you haven't yet found the lesson in the pain, there's a lesson inside of it. There's something to learn inside of it. There's a place of discovery inside of it, and you can't just cover it over. It's like an infection.
Poison.
Right? And so let's say I get cut real bad, it gets infected, and I just wrap it up. It doesn't work. You have to unwrap that thing. You got to wash that thing. You got to get in there. You know, a while back I got a burn, on my hand that was like a 2nd-degree burn. And because it was on my hand, it was hard to keep clean. And it ended up getting infected. And I've got some scarring from it and whatever, but I had to be willing to open that thing up.
Do you have a photo we can show everybody?
I do. It's sick. I ain't showing anything.
I think we're good.
But it's it's healed up now. But I literally, it became something that plagued me for a while because I couldn't get the infection out. And I had to get injections and I had to get on medicine. And it was just a burn. I was flipping a log over in the fireplace and touched a metal edge of the fireplace and didn't think much of it. But it lasted, I dealt with it for a month or more. Well, you can have a burn, you can get burned in life, right? You can get stabbed in life, you can get cut in life. And you think nothing of it. Oh, that was when I was a kid. Oh, that was when I was a whatever. But we don't realize
how much that shaped the way you think.
Absolutely.
And your demeanor and how you feel about things,
And every single one of us, how you were raised and what you went through as a child and all that kind of stuff, it shaped you. Those beginning stages of childhood development and child psychology, the way you think, your natural bent toward positivity or negativity, toward fear and risk and all of those things is connected into your upbringing, your childhood. And so there's a lot to be discovered there. And most people don't want to go back there. And they don't, I don't want to go to therapy. They're going to make me talk about my childhood. And I don't want to talk about that, right? But if you look at it, inside of your childhood, there were points of pain. Inside of my childhood, there were points of pain. And in my childhood, because of pain that I endured, I made vows as a child. I call them unholy vows. I made unholy vows. I will never bing, bing, bing. I will never bing, bing, bing. These different things.
What are some examples?
Okay, for me, my first point of pain in my life was being taken advantage of by a cousin. I was abused by a cousin. And it was so traumatic that I buried it in my subconscious. And I didn't even remember it until a neighbor across the street 7 years later tried to do something to me. Wow. And when that neighbor tried to do something to me, it triggered dreams. And my dreams, all of a sudden, as a 12-year-old, I began to dream a memory from when I was 5 or 6. And I had it over and over and over again. Probably the 3rd or 4th night, I realized that's not a dream. That's a memory. And the memory of what my cousin did to me was so painful and so humiliating that I flipped into a place of rage. And the vow that I made was, I'll never be a victim again. Ooh. I'll never let anyone take advantage of me. And the next day I go out to play flag football in the front yard with this neighbor kid, and I tried to kill him. Dude, I tried to murder, and he was way bigger than me, but I had this rage, and he didn't know what I was enraged about. And we're playing football, so he's like, that's it, man. Yeah, get mad. And I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy, right? And it was just this weird deal where I didn't know where this rage came from. And it took me years to tie that together and to begin. But the unholy vow for me is I'm never going to be weak again. Ooh. I'm going to be a powerful person. I'll never let anyone take advantage of me. Wow. I'll never let anyone abuse me. I'll never be a victim again. Well, what that translated into was an incredible competition career because I had an anger and a rage and a violence. So it got me so far, but it was still in there in a toxic form, right?
Still
and so
eating
now
away
I'm doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Okay, so I've got to.
Well, you can't turn that off either. No. Without healing, you cannot turn off that switch. And like for me, my unholy vow was I'll never be poor. Like I will never be homeless again. You know, and it was such a drive. And it's like now it's like, yeah, but that came out of a place of pain and hurt, and like obviously nothing compared to what you went through, but it's still like it came out of a place of pain and hurt where like my family just didn't have money and my siblings didn't have money, and you know, it was go feed your siblings or go, you know, and that was something I never wanted to experience again. Yeah. You know, and
well, and that's, you even bring up a point. You said it was nothing like I went through. That's, I think, a common misconception, because your place of pain was just as great in a different way than my place of pain, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we go through things and we either belittle someone else's pain or we belittle our own pain. And the reality is it's our road. It's our road that we had to travel. It's our cross to bear, so to speak. You know, the second place was when my daughter died of brain cancer. I shared that last week. When I held my baby in my arms and she was no longer breathing, you know, and I watched them take her. I watched the funeral people take her away. The pain in that moment. Yeah. It was horrific, right? And again, I go back to, I'm my own defender. Yeah. I'm my own protector. Yeah. I'm my own whatever. But what I had to do is I had to learn in both of those things, how can I get healing? How can I get healthy again? And then how can I help people with what I've been through? That's good. So the pain, watch this. The pain, if you can learn the lesson from your pain, you'll find a place of passion. That's good. You'll find a place of passion. That's good. And if your pain and your passion, if you can learn the lesson from your pain, you'll find your passion, and that passion will point you toward a purpose.
Well, it's perfect because think about hustle, right? So my pain, and I didn't even think about this still right now, but my pain was I'll never be poor again. Yep. I used my pain to make a lot of money very quickly at a young age. And now I'm using that as a passion to help other people get out of that place that I was that's really cool how it just kind of
both of us felt powerless. Yeah. So so I have a very wealthy friend who early on in life, her dad died, didn't have insurance. The family was left destitute, 6 kids in the family, single mom. And this young girl got into a car accident driving to work. She was 17. A motorcycle pulled out in front of her. She ran, over the person on accident. The person died, and she, as a 17-year-old girl, was looking at going to prison for involuntary manslaughter. Wow! And her mom told her they assigned her a district attorney or a pro bono lawyer because they didn't have any money. And the pro bono lawyer said, "Look, just sign the deal and go to jail because there's you get a lower sentence. It'll be on your record, but at least it's a lower sentence." And her mom said, "You have to take the deal because we don't have any money. And because we don't have any money, we don't have any choices." Wow. So the feeling of not having money makes you feel powerless. Yeah. For me, the feeling of having an 18-year-old, cousin that took advantage of me when I was 5 made me feel powerless. Yeah. So both of us, when you really look at what makes us, what we're so passionate about, it's about being powerful. Yeah. But not now that we've had purpose for it, it's not powerful for our sake.
Now that we've healed in some capacity. Hey, I go to counseling every week. So,
I have a coach myself. I
tell people there's nothing wrong with counseling. In fact, my wife is a counselor.
No, exactly. Exactly.
She's my the best counselor. So.
Right. So these kind of things, if you can't shy away from pain. You have to hit it head on, because if not, you'll keep medicating, you'll keep covering it, you'll keep hiding it, and you'll become the walls in your life will grow thicker and thicker, taller and taller, and you're going to find yourself in a place where you can't have the level of intimacy that you want to have in meaningful relationships because you've got these walls up around yourself and you haven't found that place of purpose. And but really you've got to be willing to dig into that pain a little bit and find the lessons, right? So, I've seen people, for example, I have a friend who both of his daughters, they were stepdaughters that he adopted. Both of them got tricked and suckered into being trafficked. Oh, and he went through horrific pain. And these were beautiful, beautiful girls, good girls, but they got tricked and duped. And next thing you know, they were strung out on drugs and they're being trafficked and they're being whatever. And again, they had some pain in their lives because their mom was dealing with terminal cancer. And so they were mad at the world. They were mad at God. They were mad. And that place of anger and pain opened them up to being vulnerable to someone that would take advantage of them. Right. So now my friend has a home that he rescues young ladies out of trafficking.
And he made purpose out of it. He created a purpose out of the place that caused him the most pain in his life.
And he literally rescues people. This guy, he's in his 60s now. He literally pulls up to hookers on the street and says, "Hey, how much?" They say $50. He says, jump in. He drives around the corner. He hands them $50. He says, hey, I don't want anything. I just want to talk to you.
That's amazing.
Do you want out? He goes, you don't have to do any services. I just want to talk to you. Wow. Do you want out? If you want out, I can get you out right now.
That's impact,
right?
That is impact.
He hangs out behind strip clubs. He hangs out on the corner, and literally he's got a whole team of people that they'll rescue them right now. If they're not ready to get out, he'll hand them a card. When you're ready, call us. We'll meet you. We'll pick you up. And they have a hidden safe house here in Dallas somewhere. And they're literally, they're rescuing. At any given moment, they've got, I believe, 30 ladies that they're rescuing out of trafficking. They're helping them rebuild their life. They're helping them rebuild, everything about their life. But it started with a place of pain that turned into a passion, and now it's a life purpose for them.
Yeah. So we're talking about how pain can become that purpose and that passion and produce that. What does that process look like? Because that sounds a whole hell of a lot easier said than done. Because it's not easy. And even for me, now that I'm like seeing it in hindsight, I'm like, okay, I see the process that I had to go through to really heal from I don't think I'm fully healed or that pain is gone or anything like that. That's a lifelong process. Yeah. But what does that process look like going from, okay, I'm choosing to look at my pain so that I can find purpose and direction in my life and long-term true north, and I can know what I'm good at, where I'm going, all of these things. What does that process actually look like, though? Like, what does it take to go from I'm willing to look at this pain so that I can find long-term purpose and direction and passion to actually getting there? Yeah. What does that look like?
Man, I think you gotta find mentors. You gotta find mentors. You gotta find a coach. You gotta find a community. Yeah. You can't do it alone. You're gonna have a very, very, very hard time doing it alone, because you've got to find someone like even Jonathan and I in our relationship. And there are parts of our relationship where he's the head honcho, and I'm like, I work for you. How can I help you? There are parts of our relationship. Because we cross-pollinate in multiple different organizations.
Both married with wives.
Yes. Business partnership. Partnership. So as business partners in so many different ways. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel. See, there may be a place of pain let's talk about it. A little jumpy right there. I'm not going to share the text message you sent me before.
You sent that to me. You sent that text message.
So, anywho,
we have a very good friend.
We were good friends, right? But there's times where it's like I got to let him wear the boss hat, and there's times where I got to wear the boss hat. Yeah. Well, when I'm wearing the boss hat, I can ask him, or where I'm wearing the coach hat.
And challenge me.
And I got to be able to ask him questions that he doesn't want to be asked for his own benefit. And so there has to be trust there, because if not, if I'm just like asking him a hard question. So I got a really tough thing going on in one of my organizations right now. And it's been emotional for me. It's been challenging. It's very much, connected to people I really care about. And I got a friend in my life yesterday who's like, there's two sides of the story, and whatever. What are you learning from it? What do you need to change about it? And it's so here's my friend.
That's cut and dry. Man. That's cold. And at first you're mad. And you're like, damn, I have to think that way.
And that's okay. That's okay, because he's connected on both sides. So he has a relationship on both sides. Yeah. And I only opened up and told him about what was going on because I wanted him to help both sides, because I don't want the relationship to be destroyed. It's, there's going to be some separation, but I want it to have some healing points, right? For in the future. I don't like burning any bridges, so we may need to go separate ways right now, but that doesn't mean the bridges burn forever, kind of a deal.
What's really cool though is what just happened in your organization is relatively similar to something that happened to you previously.
Sure.
Wouldn't you have wanted the person that had done that to you to have said the exact same thing to that? Like have a friend talk to the, you see what I'm saying? I'm like connecting the dots, and I'm like, wow, like so glad that you have people around you who are challenging you to think different and not just wallow in something and be like, well, I'm in pain because of this, and I'm justified.
Sure. And so when I went through what I went through in that organization, I got blacklisted and black sheeped and ghosted for 3.5 years.
It's not identical.
It's not. Well, my point is, I'm actually trying. Yeah. So because of the pain I went through, I'm actually trying. So I'm following up going, hey, let's get together and talk.
Yes.
Hey, let's not let space grow. Hey, let's whatever. And, there's going to be some space, but I'm actually trying to keep the door open and keep the bridge unburnt. Because I went through it and had a burnt bridge for a long time, and it sucked. Yeah. Right. And so it was burnt on the other end. I didn't want to burn the bridge, but I ended up having to walk out the road. So, but you got it. So that's the most important thing is you've got to can you find an online coaching forum? Can you find a place where you can get some one-on-one coaching? Yeah. Can you find some kind of a community, where, whether it's, there are people that find recovery communities. Yeah. They find, the faith-based communities. They find hobby type or sport community. Shoot, CrossFit. Well, what if you go to CrossFit or I'm just paying or any type of fitness club, and you find a community there, and you find a coach that has a lot of things. You just got to find someone that's got the areas where you've got some need. They've got it together in those areas. They don't have to be perfect in every way, but they got
you would say. So bringing this kind of down to practicality, and before you really identify the pain, or before you're able to really identify like your true north, your direction, where you're headed, pain can be a massive driver of that true north, that purpose. So bringing that kind of in a practical sense on how to go from a place of pain and actually looking at that pain to a place of purpose and direction and passion, and using that to fuel your future, like both of us have done, and we've both been very successful in doing that. The step one is just getting more eyes on that weakness, in a sense, or that pain,
and the right eyes,
because you can't do it yourself.
Right.
Like that's the reality. You can't pull your own self. Like there's a lot of internal strength that we have as people, but the reality is that when it's so much easier and it's so much more effective when you have other people around you that have went through similar things and can help pull you out of these and say the hard things and help you see the pain in a new light and see new opportunity in that. And so we all know there's plenty of places we can find those people, and that network, the coaching, the mentorship, not a lot of people even listening have the money to go pay for, a coach, but there's even apps. Holy crap. Like my first coaching counseling sessions were on an app. I think it was called Talkspace or something like that. And it was $99 a month, I think, maybe $49 a month. Very accessible for me at the time. And I could just chat with somebody and talk with somebody. And it was, that was an opportunity for me to face some of the pain that I had with my family, with, being just having absolutely nothing in my life. And really rerouting that. And so there's so many opportunities to find that. So step one, find people. And that might not be, maybe you're somebody that just wants to fix it all yourself. And you're somebody that at this point, you're like, nah, I got it all taken care of. But the reality is you have blind spots. Yeah. And you need those people around you to help not identify that pain, because you're probably already thinking about it, but to help turn that pain into an opportunity.
Find the lesson in it. You need someone that'll ask you the question, and that could even be that. Even saying, hey, whether it's a coach or a mentor or someone to say, can I need to help find the pain or the lesson inside of the pain that I went through. That'll help me find something I'm passionate about. Will you help me with that? Will you talk? Can I ask you some questions? Will you dig in with me and help me? Finding someone that can help mentor you. Super important. And so here's another thing. Is there a cause that you're fired up about already?
That's good.
Is there a certain cause, right? Yeah. And it could be, Jonathan obviously is very passionate about homelessness. Yeah. He's very passionate about making sure people aren't hungry because he felt that pain, right?
Yeah. That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So finding a place where you have other people that have a similar concern. There's something that there's an injustice that you don't like, that you want to see resolved in the world, and finding a community that's connected around that, and then finding leaders in that community, because all of those communities are faith-based in some reason, okay? And faith doesn't have to be anything to do with religion. Yeah. Faith is about a belief system for life, right? Yes. So finding people that have a like belief system that's positive and they're going a good direction, and then saying, hey, this is can I ask you some questions? Can you help me deal with something? Yeah. Whatever. They may or may not have the answers, but at least you're connecting to friends. You've got to find friends and mentors that you can have a real conversation with, that can dig in there, and you let them. You got to give them permission to ask you the hard questions.
That's awesome. So what are some things that people can do themselves right now, like practical things they can do right now to outside of, obviously, go find that network, go find that community, to help drive that. But are there any steps that people can take in their own lives to, outside of identifying what they're best at, what they're making money at, all of that stuff, to help take that journey or apply that that pain to their, what are some practical ways they can apply that pain to their businesses and to where they're at right now, their management, their job, their employment? Like, how does somebody walk away from this YouTube right now and say, hey, I know I have the tools to conquer. I have the tools to actually make it right now. You know?
So I think a lot of, and everyone's at a different level of self-awareness, right? So there are people that are super self-aware, and as we're talking about this, they're like, oh, bing, light bulb goes on.
Yeah.
And now I recognize this is why I'm so passionate about this, because this happened, and this is why, now I see why I'm passionate about this. Okay, so if I can go, again, if you can find other people. So again, Jonathan and I love ancient wisdom. I mean, it's just one of our things, so there's another point of ancient wisdom, or saying in ancient wisdom, that says, if you want a field of your own, first serve in another man's field. So you have to find someone that owns the space that you want to own one day and go serve them.
So it's really all about people at the end of the day.
You could just Google search. I mean, I guarantee you, I call it Rabbi Google. You can have Rabbi Google. Go get your ancient wisdom from Rabbi Google. But it's, you can Google, Google search, how do I find purpose in my pain? Google search, how do I discover the lesson from my pain? I guarantee you're going to find, if I did it right now, I bet there's a list of things where you can begin to kind of delve through, do it. Find out what pops up. How to find purpose in my pain, or how to find the lessons of my pain. Lessons from my pain.
Live Googlage. Here, you guys can see my screen. I'll pull it up here, so you can see me Google this. All right. Well, the first thing that comes up is guardian.ng. Until you see purpose in your pain, it will remain painful. And it's talking about finding God. Ask yourself these questions. How could the story of my pain offer hope to somebody else who needs to hear my story? And so really what you're talking about is the opportunity that you have to help other people around you heal from the same thing. And the cool thing is there is a healing in helping somebody else. And I learned very quickly that the more I helped other people, the less I looked internally, and the less I was looking at my own pain and my own struggles and my own frustration. And the more I saw external problems, and the more I chased helping other people, the better my life got every single time. So that's an awesome point. How to find purpose in your unexpected pain. StephenBaladino.com. That's a very religious article, it looks like. Painful times can add value to your life, and but the path is a choice. What did on Tuesday we were at a business thing together, and we were speaking, and what did that gentleman say? He said, hard times create tough people, or tough times create tough people, and that's the reality.
Hard times make tough people. And easy times make soft people.
Yeah, that's the truth. And everybody's got so many different experiences in their life that at the end of the day, if you look at your life as okay, I was shaped, everything that happened to me shaped me to accomplish one thing. What is that one thing? What's that intersection? What is the thing across the entire board that your story shaped you to have a unique perspective on, and a unique understanding? Because the reality is if you're listening to this call, you're a leader in some sense.
True.
You're a leader in your job. You're a leader in your family. You lead your children, or you lead yourself. And if you're a leader, you have to be willing to see, how can I contribute to somebody else's life? Because the only job of a leader is to benefit the lives of the people that they're leading. Is somebody leaving you better than they were before? Did you lead them somewhere that they were not before they came to you. And so the reality is I think that's the core of where you start, is you say, what can I lead people in that I have a unique understanding? Mm-hmm. And I can sit down and I can say, maybe I don't have more experience than you do in this, but I feel it.
Yeah.
And I have the desire to pull you out of it because I got pulled out of it.
When my daughter died, I became the guy that anytime somebody was going through grief, I got the phone call. Wow. And and I never wanted to talk about it. I never wanted to talk about it. But I realized I've been given a gift to help people out of grief. Yeah. Because I had to learn how to escape grief myself. Yeah. And so, but again, I learned the lesson in the pain.
That's good.
So that I could help someone else. Good. And I made the focus about helping other people. That's amazing. There's a great saying that I've heard a mentor say, and it's this, that sharing your story lends your faith to another person. So being willing to tell your story and being willing to talk through, hey, I used to be in this place. I mean, when Jonathan, says, man, this many years ago, I was homeless, sleeping in my car, and I made these decisions and I made these commitments, and now here I'm this, and this. People are like, oh my God, that story. They want to learn more, and it builds their belief system. If this guy can do it, then maybe I could do something different, right? Yeah. Same thing.
It's all about hope. What kind of hope can you offer somebody else? And it's not like I've made it. In my head, I'm sitting here like, holy crap, my life's a mess. Like this, But at the end of the day, it's like there's somebody that's where I know personally there's people in the Discord who have told me, hey, I'm where you were. Like, help me. And so and you keep talking about mentors and people and like finding those people around you. That can come from a book too. Like how many people I've heard like, oh, I was mentored by this person, this person, this person. I was like, whoa, you met them? And they're like, no, I read their book because it's their story and you're creating your 100% right. When you're experiencing their story, you're realizing if they did it, I can do it, and it's possible. And so let's wrap this into a bow for business people, right? So how does this you're never going to get this education in college. You're never going to get this in business degrees. You're never going to get this on any coaching call kind of thing. Yeah. So this is a very unique perspective of business, and it's a unique thing that most people don't even want to talk about and they shy away from. And in fact, I bet you a lot of people drop off the minute we start talking about pain because, oh, whatever, this doesn't apply to me. I just want to go make money. Yep. When you find healing, when you find a peace within yourself and a satisfaction and a fulfillment within yourself to say, I understand that this is a painful thing, but I am healed because I can take this and I can go and offer it to other people. Then what happens is you start leading out of candor. You start leading from a place of humility because you realize you're no better than the people around you. You start leading people in a way you've never had before. Right. You start giving people hope because you realize, holy shit, when I was going through that, all I wanted was hope. All I wanted was somebody to tell me, it's possible. Yeah. What do you think hustle is? Is me telling you it is possible to get out of the place that you're in. And so I know that it doesn't sound like business advice, but this can change your life. Yeah. And it changes your business and it changes you as a leader. So in what ways have you gone, like going from this place of pain to this place of purpose and passion and letting your pain drive your purpose and passion? How has that made you a better leader in your organization? How has that grown your organization?
You're asking me specifically?
I'm asking you specifically.
This is a rhetorical question for
Deer
everyone.
in the headlights. I'm like,
no, I'm just kidding.
All right, go.
No, so I feel like number one most important thing is it's made me more empathetic for other people.
That's good.
I originally, the old Joel, young Joel, had no sympathy for other people going through tough times because everything was about self-protection. Everything was about personal empowerment. Everything was about, literally my motto was suck it up. Suck it up. Oh, you're going through that? Nobody cares. Suck it up. That was just get over it. Move forward. Let's go. Because I had tried to move forward, move on. Sure. I've been hurt. Yeah, I've been abused. Yeah, I've been through that. Suck it up. Move on. Whatever. Yeah. But when I went through the pain of of losing my daughter, it wrecked me. Yeah. And it gave me, and again, in my own personal introspection, in my own personal spiritual life, in my own, I mean, to me, I find a lot of purpose and a lot of hope and a lot of, things in my spiritual side, right? And I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a super religious person, but I am aware of the spiritual things, and I think it's important. So in my own journey, I realized instantly that I was going through these things so I could learn how to care for people, how to have concern for people, because I didn't have it. I was hard. I had a hard exterior, and I had to be broken and to find a soft place to actually have sympathy and empathy for other people.
Can I pause you right there? Because the power of caring for people means you'll have more customers. People actually give a crap about hanging around you. They want to hang around you. They're attracted to hang around you because they feel like, wow, this person actually gives a damn about me. That's the power of caring, and why it's important to be more empathetic and to understand. Because how do you think large companies identify their audiences, right? There's a sense of empathy. There's a sense of understanding, what is my audience going through right now? What are the experiences that they're in? What problems do they have right now? Without empathy, you don't sell. Without empathy, you can't. Without caring about people in some level, you cannot create wealth, because you're not solving problems because you don't understand the problem. You don't care to understand the problem.
So one of the basic rules of business, and I believe I heard Steve Jobs talk about this, is you want to help more people, or pardon me, you want to make more money, help more people.
Ooh, yep.
If you help 1,000 people, you'll make thousands of dollars.
Yes.
You help millions of people, you'll make millions of dollars. You help billions of people.
The founder of Google said that too.
So that type of a mindset of I want to help more people. So you just look at, an Apple iPhone, Apple product, okay? One of the concepts behind how they make everything, it's called human-centered design. It's an actual strategy, human-centered design. What are the innate, natural things of how humans think, how humans respond, what makes humans tick, and all these little algorithms that are set up inside of Snapchat and TikTok and all these stupid things. I love, because I'm old, I love to mess with my daughters and call them talk ticks and chat snaps. I love to say it backwards on purpose just to mess with them. Any way that I can embarrass my teenage daughters, that's what makes me tick. That's my real passion in life at this point. But the whole idea of that my daughter grew up with an iPhone in her hand.
Yeah.
She never. I grew up with a rotary phone. I had a rotary dial phone, long curly cord.
Little Rolodex.
Yes, Rolodex. So my daughter, she can pick up any device. 80? Absolutely.
It's like trying to do the math in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's the Dos Equis man. Remember? I got the great beard.
Who was that? Das Bick that called you?
I can't remember who said it. One of the guys said it. Anywho, but it's that type of a mindset of human-centered design. I care what humans think. I care what comes natural. I care how they look at things. And because I care, I'm going to design something that meets their need.
Wealth is all about solving a problem for somebody else. You do not make money as a me too in a lot of ways. Right. And so what problem are you solving for people? And that requires a sense of empathy. And you can't even get to a place of empathy if you're not willing to be empathetic towards yourself.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to be introspective and all of that. And so, sure, this might sound like a lot of wishy-washy. Oh, that's, but at the end of the day, it is directly connected. Your ability to look inside yourself and be self-aware is directly connected to the wealth that you will generate, because you cannot lead other people or solve problems for other people if you are not first willing to be empathetic to yourself, which means you can't create wealth.
People don't want to work with fake people.
Ooh.
People don't want to work with people that are takers.
That's good.
They just don't. I'm telling you, that's some of the issues that I've been working through. Is this is a person who's just a taker.
Yeah.
That nobody wants to work with this person. They're a taker. They're not a giver.
That's good.
And so to look at everything in how can I help? How can I give? How can I serve?
It's amazing.
It's that internal agenda that's pure. Yeah. People can smell a pure motive, and they can also smell bullcrap.
Ooh. Yep. It's good, man. That's really good.
We're kind of amazing.
Stuff. All right. Any last thoughts on purpose, direction? This has been It went a lot deeper than I thought it would go, frankly. But I love digging through the things that most people don't think about when they think about wealth and money and business, because it's, anybody can tell you, hey, here's my formula. But guess what? That formula could not work for you because you have some deep-rooted disbelief that, hey, I'm not capable of this or something. And so if you're not willing to dig into yourself deeper, you'll no formula can work for you. You know what I mean? And so I think that it's so much beyond just finding what you're good at, what you're paid for, what you love. That's really important to find that intersection. But in all honesty, it's really about understanding yourself in such a deep way. So maybe we can dig next time. We don't have a topic prepared for next time. In case you guys didn't know, these are not scripted. We really feel out. I try and feel out the best I can on what are some of the things the community is mentioning to us. What are some of the things that my friends are mentioning that we want to really dig deep and figure out how do we, and we both go and do our own research. We both go and do our own kind of development of these topics and everything. And so, I think these things that most people might feel are wishy-washy or emotional or whatever are the things that make the biggest difference. Because you ask a successful person, how did they become successful? And they're like, hey, it all starts here.
It's the intangibles, all right, guys. Here. It's the intangibles. It's all about the love, man. What did Jerry Maguire? Jerry Maguire. Remember Cuba Gooding Jr. He's like, it's the Quan, man. It's the Quan. There's the invisible qualities that you possess. Good. It's the invisible qualities, and that's where people that are all math and science and numbers and data and whatever, they miss the invisible qualities that make people feel good and make them want to. They don't know why they want to do stuff with you. I mean, you look at someone like, and again, not political at all on any level, but Bill Clinton was magic with people. He made people feel he could be in front of anyone. He remembered every single person's name. He remembered every single. He knew their dogs' names. He knew their hobbies. He knew everything about everyone. And he knew if he could make people feel like they mattered in that moment, then people would follow him. It didn't matter his policies. It didn't matter. Nobody cared. I dare you. Don't Google it. Post one policy from Bill Clinton in the chat. You can't, because you don't remember. You're like, the policy of denial.
Something like that. I did not have sexual relations.
Okay,
we're going south.
There we go.
This has been awesome and good topics, and I'm excited for next Wednesday. And tomorrow we have the Business Academy here on this channel. So hit the subscribe button. Drop a like on the video. It always helps us in everything, and feel free to share. I think we're going to get these on podcasts as well. The lab, I think we're going to turn into a podcast. So we're super excited about that. And I will be talking with all of you in Discord. So thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a phenomenal Wednesday and rest of your week. So
absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.